If you remember, one of my last moments with my grandfather was spent watching an old Wilt Chamberlain game. He shared with me that his first date with my grandmother was at Chamberlain's famous 100-point game. Now, I found myself at that very game, eager to see my grandfather as a young man. I looked all around the small arena, but it was hard to make out faces. My grandfather would have been young, so I had to match his face with the older pictures I grew up seeing. I stood up with my ball in my hand and my notebook tucked into the waistband of my pants, making my way down the aisle and trying to look at each person's face. As I walked through the crowd, the game on the floor began, and Chamberlain went to work right away. He scored with dunks, small hooks, and his signature fadeaway. I was careful to scan the audience for familiar faces, but I had no luck finding him. "I swear he said his first date with Grammy was here," I mumbled. I eventually settled into an empty seat with my head lowered. This was my opportunity to reunite with Pappy, but I couldn't find him. I gripped my basketball tightly, almost upset at it for bringing me this close, yet so far away from my grandfather. The roar of the crowd made me lift my head, and there I saw Chamberlain, working his magic in person. He was everything my grandfather had said he was, and even better. My sadness faded slightly as I became immersed in the game, watching Chamberlain's point total climb from 30 to 40, then to 50, and finally up to 60. I was jumping up and cheering for Chamberlain, completely forgetting about my grandfather. Then, through the haze of energy and anticipation, I saw a young man who had my grandfather's same distinctive features. He was seated a few rows ahead of me, his eyes trained on the game. My heart raced as I made my way through the people in between and tried to get to him. As I approached him, he stood up to walk away and was just about to disappear into the crowd of onlookers. My heart sank almost to the ground. But then, a small breath of determination filled me, and I decided to follow him, hoping to catch a glimpse of his eyes for just a second before he was gone. The path led me through the bustling crowd, people holding hot dogs and drinks, people in suits, and people engaged in conversations. Then, as I rounded a corner, I collided with a young woman so hard that I staggered back a step. She was laughing at something, eyes mostly closed in the way people do when they're fully committed to the joke. And then, I recognized her. She was the same woman whose picture sat in my parents' china cabinet. I apologetically stammered, unable to look away from her. She beamed at me, not a half-hearted attempt at a smile but a genuine show of warmth, the kind of woman I could imagine my grandfather having fallen for. "Are you okay, little man?" the woman asked. "She talked to me. My grandmother actually talked to me." "Ah, yeah, I am good," I said, as my entire body shook with nerves. "I am sorry, I wasn't looking where I was going." "And to tell you the truth, I was a little flustered," she said. "See, I am on my first date with a wonderful man, and I arrived late, but he still dashed out here to greet me, despite the game he wanted to see playing now." "Oh, yeah. Ah, where's your date now?" I asked. My nerves still had me shaking uncontrollably. "Well, he went to get us some dogs and pop," she said. "But I am sorry. I was so happy seeing him. I was lost in my own head. Hope I didn't hurt you, little man." No, I am fine. Thank you," I said. I took a deep breath. This moment didn't seem real. Seeing my grandmother, a woman I never met in person, as a young, beautiful woman, was jaw-dropping. "Sorry again," my grandmother said. "I hope you enjoy the game." My grandmother patted me on the shoulder and walked off toward her seat. At that moment, I think I was experiencing the same sensation my grandfather had every time he talked about my grandmother. I was witnessing an aspect of the love story that was my family's history. After my grandmother left, I ran up to the concession stand, but my grandfather was nowhere to be found. I rushed back to where I saw him sitting before, but discovered another couple sat in those seats. No Pappy or Grammy. I found my seat after about a 10-minute search that came up empty, and watched Chamberlain continue his dominance. Chamberlain scored his 8th point, and shortly after, he reached his 90th point. At that moment, I decided to have a chat with the couple who sat in the seats where I saw my grandfather earlier. I made my way over, kneeled down, and tapped the man on his shoulder. "Excuse me, sir." "What?" the man shouted. Chamberlain's gonna score triple digits. I don't want to miss it. Chamberlain dunked the basketball over two defenders. Down at the scorer's table, a chubby man held up a paper with Chamberlain's name on it. He crossed out the 0 and 90 and added a 2. Yes, I'm sorry, I said, but I have to ask. Earlier, a man sat in this seat. He's my grandfather, and I don't know where he went. The man looked confused. That young man is your granddad? I nodded. The man shrugged. Yeah, he had the wrong seat. He was in mine. So he left, somewhere in that direction. The man pointed in the complete opposite direction from where we were. Thank you, sir, I said. I stood up to see Chamberlain put in a short bank shot, giving himself 94 points. As I made my way through the stands, Chamberlain scored 2 more points on free throws. The man now had 96 points, and I couldn't help but be in awe of his play. The crowd all stood around me, making it harder to spot my grandparents. As I continued to weave through the crowd of people, I watched as Chamberlain hit a short jumper for 98 points. Chamberlain immediately stole the inbound pass. I stopped dead in my tracks, waiting to see history be made, but Chamberlain missed a short push shot, keeping his points total under triple digits. After reaching the end of an aisle, I saw him. My grandfather stood a few rows down from me. He had his arm around my grandmother. I took a deep breath and started my way down to them. As I made my way toward my grandparents, Chamberlain missed 2 close shots before getting the ball a third time and slamming home his 100th point. The crowd went wild. A man jumped and clapped, knocking me down in the process. Hey, I shouted as I lay on the dirty floor. The basketball slipped from my grip and was accidentally kicked by another fan. I stood up and realized that my grandparents had disappeared. Fans all around me rushed the court as the referee stopped the game. Ordinary folks were grabbing and patting Chamberlain, who stood there with a smile on his face. Then I spotted Pappy. He stood a few feet from Chamberlain, lifting my grandmother up so she could have a face-to-face look at the legendary Wilt Chamberlain. Suddenly, the basketball flew toward my face. I caught it, and as I did, the ball lit up, whisking me away once again. As the light faded, I found myself sitting on the edge of a bed in what appeared to be a hotel room. I plopped back down on the bed and tossed the ball onto the floor. My mind was consumed with thoughts of my grandparents. From finally meeting my grandmother to missing out on reconnecting with my grandfather. It made me feel both happy and very sad. I closed my eyes as I lay on the bed, trying to bring my thoughts together. As I was thinking about the conversation I had with my grandmother, I heard an unpleasant sound. Someone in the bathroom of this room was vomiting. I sat up straight, feeling terrified. This wasn't my room, and whoever was in the bathroom was clearly not in a good mood. Footsteps grew louder. I realized whoever was barking up a storm in the bathroom was about to find me standing in their room. My foot bumped the basketball I tossed on the floor. I picked up the ball just as the person revealed themselves. "Bill Russell!" I screamed in excitement,